Yo, what's up guys? So in this video I'm going to teach you 5 controls out of 50. If that intro sounds familiar to you, you may have seen one of my 100 forces videos. Now, I'm going to be completely honest with you. When I first set out to make this series, I had in my head, yeah, 100 forces, this is going to be so awesome. And I think I went a little overboard on this whole 100 thing. Was bit off more than I can chew with it. Not that I didn't have 100 forces. It just means that some of the forces, probably about half of them, were just filler in order to get to 100, just for the 100's sake. And so what I ended up doing is teaching the best half, the best 50 of them first, and then I was like, you know what, why am I doing this? I'm just gonna teach, forces that aren't so good, and I've already taught the best ones before, so I decided just to keep it at 50. And down below I'll leave a link to a whole playlist of the 50 forces, and yeah, we'll just leave it at 50. And now we'll go to another series called 50 Controls. All of these controls in this series are very practical for real audiences. However, there are some, maybe 4 or 5 or so, that look really good for just the camera, like for social media. And you know me, I love social media, I love Instagram, doing things to fool magicians, and there's some of those in there as well. Let's get into it. Okay, so this first control is practically self-working, alright? So it comes from a magician named Bob King, from a little book called, I'll tell you that after this because I don't want to spoil the what it is, alright? So you give the deck to the person and you ask them to cut some cards right here, less than half, alright? So they do that, and maybe about half of these right there, and then the rest go over here. Now you ask them to pick up any pile they want to. It's completely up to them. The one they choose is the one they use, so maybe they go for this one, maybe right here. Now you ask them to give these a little mix, just like this, however they want to, and when they're done, you ask them to look at the top card of their pile, which they do, and they remember that card. You never see this, your back is turned if you want to be, alright, so they take a look at that card. Now you ask them to put it on top of any other pile they want to, maybe they go for that one right there, and they give the whole thing a cut, and then they can pick these up, give them a mix like this, and put them on top, and they can even cut the deck one more time. Maybe one more time if they want to, it doesn't really matter. Alright, so now you take the deck back, and say, look, you cut the deck into 3 piles like this. There's no way I could know where your card was. And then you shuffle cards around. You looked at cards. You did whatever you wanted to. There's no way I could know what your card is or even where it is at this point. But would you be impressed if I could find your card? But all I really know about it is that it's somewhere in between the top card and the bottom card. But I think it's about, I'd say 46 cards down, but if I just snap like this 2 times, I can get your card all the way to the top. Alright, so this comes out of a little book by Bob King called The Breather, and in fact you do use a breather crimp. Alright, so just take any card and put a breather crimp into it. I'm sure you know what that is. You can search breather crimp anywhere and you'll find it. That goes on the bottom of the deck. Alright, so now what you do is you can do a shuffle to keep it there if you want to with a slip shuffle, and then you have the volunteer to give the deck some cuts. Alright, so you ask them to cut less than half, maybe about a third right there, and then the next one there, and the rest here. So just keep track of where that bottom card is at all times so you don't lose track of it. Alright, so now you ask them to pick up any pile they want to and give it a mix. However, if they pick this one, they can't mix them, alright? So here's the procedures on this. So here's the first possibility. If they do pick this one that has a breather on the bottom, you just ask them to simply look at the top card of that pile, but just don't ask them to shuffle because you'll lose a breather crimp, alright? So if they pick the one with the breather, ask them to look at the top card, and they do, and then ask them to give this little packet a cut like this. And all that's happening here is they are going to cut the breather in the middle, and it'll go directly above their card there, right? So that breather is above their card. Now you ask them to put them on top of any of their pile, and then put the rest on top. So now their card is somewhere in the middle with the breather right on top of it. If they go for this one, you can have them shuffle them because, well, it doesn't matter. Alright, so just have them mix these up and ask them to look at the top card, which will do, the Ace of Hearts. So now you ask them to put it on top of any other pile. If they go for their breather crimp pile, you have them put them on top, and then it's the same thing. You have them cut this packet, again resulting in the breather going on top of their card, right? So now you just have them put the rest on top, and that breather is still somewhere in the middle with their card directly below it. Last but not least, if they pick this one and they can shuffle it, they look at the Jack of Spades and they you ask them to put it on top of any of their pile, and they put them on this one now that doesn't have their breather. That's okay, so they just put them on there. Now I ask them to take their other pile, which does have their breather, and put it on top of everything, alright? So no matter what happens, their breather is always going to go on top of their card. You just have to direct them to do that, and the main thing that sells this is to have an attitude and act like that was it's the thing you do every time. That's the same procedure every time is what you want to convey. Alright, so no matter what happens, like I said, the breather just goes on top of their card. And at this point, you can really do anything, alright? It's up to you to control the card however you want to. Or you can just simple one-handed cut like this to look flashy. Really whatever you want to do. But what I like to do is sort of do a recap and in a gesturing action. Just do a recap, alright? So that breather was somewhere in the middle, and I say, look, so here's what happened. You cut the deck several times, and I just cut to the breather, so right now their card's on top, alright? So, but it's in a gesture. So you cut the deck 3 times like this, and so now I know that their card is right here on top, on the middle packet, alright? So, and then you took some cards, shuffled them, put cards here, whatever, and just try to make a sloppy mess of it, and just sort of recap what they did, and just end up with their card on top, whatever you do, okay? So that's the Bob King breather crimp control, and it's one of the best ones out there. Alright, so this next one looks like this. So any card can be selected. Let's just say we go with the 2 diamonds today. That's a pretty good card. Alright, so now we'll just put that card somewhere in the middle of the deck, right around there. The participant can square it up at this point if they want to. They can do everything. It's totally hands off, and they square it up, and with a little magical stuff, you can ensure that their card is on top of the deck. Alright, my friends, so that was a push-off second deal in the form of a control. And I've taught the second deal, the push-off second deal, in a video before in the past, which I will link down below in the description box, alright? So, but I'll go over it again in this video again, alright? So what you do is this. You dribble the deck, or you can riffle down like this. It doesn't really matter what you do, just to get to this point here, right? So, or they can just take any card like this, and you can just put it down that way. It doesn't really matter what you do. You just want to have cards on the table and their selection on top of the half deck in your hand. All right, so that's all that needs to happen. So in this case, I'll just dribble. They say stop, and what I'll do is I'll show them the card like this. I remember that card, the 8 of clubs there. Now I turn it back down. At the same time, just spread these on the table like this, and they know that their card is on top of the deck right here, which it really is. There is no switch. But what you're gonna do is a push off second deal. But coming over here is perfect motivation, which justifies the shading action that you need for the second deal, right? Because you need to put it over here. That's why that spread is important. All right, so they say stop, you do this, and you want to get it all the way over here. That way you can have even more swing to hide that second deal. So even if your second deal sucks, it's going to be okay. So you go over here and pretend to put that card there. I mean, look how bad that was, but I still switched it. All right, so a little more detail on that second deal is this. You really want to push down and apply a lot of pressure on this packet like this, alright? So what's going to happen is you're going to push that top card over, but the flesh of your skin here, the flesh of your skin, what does that even mean? I don't know. Sort of right here on your thumb is going to make contact with that second card, and it happens automatically. It's not a move, it just happens, alright? So taking advantage of that, you just push the top card over like this, and just sort of flatten your thumb out like this. So right now, see, it's bent, and if you just straighten your thumb out, it just happens automatically almost, all right? So that pad of your thumb is on the second card. All right, so it's here. You just flatten it out. That's all that is. All right, so for the second deal, this exposed view, you do this and just push that top part back, just bend it right back up. So it's a flattening action and bending it right back up for the second deal. And with your fingers making contact with that second card, it's going to stay there due to the friction of your fingertips. All right, so once again, you're here, your thumb is bent up, flattens out, bends right back up. The second card just stays in place because of your fingers. Now, but they can't see that because of this action here, because you need to put it there, which gives you motivation to hide it. All right, so it's so sneaky. I love it. So you're coming over here and you just grab that second card out, and it looks just like you take that card off, and now you just put all the rest on top of here, continuing the spread. They can push it in, square up the deck, and then their card is on top of the deck. So once again, at full speed, just because I love this control so much, and it looks really good. Look at me, I'm so good. So you just dribble the deck like this. We'll use the jack of clubs in this case, and we'll put it over here, right around the middle of the deck, and we'll push it in, square up the deck, and the jack of clubs is on top of the deck. Alright, so this next one is a variation on Ed Marlowe's convincing control. I mean, he has about 100, but this one in particular, there's no switch of the actual card, unlike all the others. You always have to switch the card out, so the card that's actually sticking out the deck is it's a switch card. All right, so that's like a color change. But with this control, there's no switch. I'll show you what I'm talking about. All right, so any card can be touched, and we'll just use that one right there. The jack of clubs again. All right, so what we'll do is we'll just put it in the deck over here and square it up, and just like magic, that jack of clubs is on the bottom of the deck. All right, so as a magician, you are probably aware of what's going on, but for a layman, keep in mind they don't see card stuff every day, so this one is a really good control to use, and it's very easy. All right, so it's like a self-working cull almost. Okay, so what you're gonna do is this: you spread the deck and have them just point to any card, and you can either do this, something like that, to show them like this, or sometimes it's okay to see their card. But either way, what happens is with these fingers here, you want to get the bottom card of this spread over here more pushed out. All right, so normally it would be just how it is, but in this case you want to squeeze up and really apply some pressure and squeeze it out more. All right, so these fingers just kick it out like this. That's all I'm trying to say. All right, so once they note their card, what you're gonna do is insert this card into the spread, seemingly. However, it's just going to go on top of that bottom card that you've pushed out. Okay, so this is a close-up view. What's going to happen is you're going to just dash that card all the way over here in the direction of your hand until it clicks past that card. But it looks to them like it's in the spread somewhere. But all that's happening is this. This is like an exposed view. You push it, you put it in on top of that card so it goes in. But it's going to click past that card. Now it's just writing. It's free from the spread under the cards. All right, so you're just like that. But these fingers are holding that in place, so it just looks like it's sticking out of the spread. Now what happens is you just sort of tap it in like this, and so it looks like you're just going to tap. It looks like you're tapping into the spread, right, and getting lost in the deck. But really, it's still under your control, right there, right. So now what happens is you just put these on top. And you're going to essentially cull it to the bottom. I wouldn't call it a cull, sort of like a beginner's cull, I guess. If you can do this control to practice your culling technique. All right. So what's going to happen is this: you put the spread on top of this spread over here. All right, just like this. So that card right here sort of bends up a little bit. That way you can sort of release your fingers like this, and that card is just going to come off the spread a little bit. Don't be crazy with it like that. Don't be like a crocodile mouth. All right, so you're gonna do that, and just close the deck up like this, and that just rides to the bottom of the deck because of that opening of the fingers like that. That just goes to the bottom of the deck, but sometimes that can flash. So here's a helpful tip to avoid doing that. That's something that I found that's helpful. And so again, we are here. We show the card, and I like to do this when it's okay for me to see the card. I shoot it out at the same time as I turn it over. So I'm here, and I do that move at the same time as I turn it over, so it sort of blends in with the movements, right? So that's that way it's not, you know, awkward. All right, so turn it over, push that out. All right, turn it back over, do the move, click it out of that card, so it's right there. Tap it in. Now here's what you do. You sort of put this spread a little bit out jogged from the rest of the cards, so that way there's like, you know, an inch down here. That's about an inch, right? So now what you want to do is come back in with it. That way there's they have a less chance of seeing that card when you open your fingers, right? So you do this, that just goes back. And what also helps is this: squeeze your fingers back as well. I mean, from here, it's really hard for them to get a back view of it. It's really easy for them to get a front view. All right, so always keep that in mind when you're culling anything. All right, so scoot that card back with your fingers as well. That way it just rides all the way to the bottom without a chance of flashing. Alright, so this next control is called the Open Control by Larry Jennings, and this is what it looks like. So any card can be noted. Let's say we go for that one right there. Alright, the 5 of spades, and that card is placed, we'll place it towards the bottom of the deck this time. Alright, so the deck can be squared up by the participant, and just like a little wave, and that 5 of spades arrives to the top of the deck. Alright, so this is the open control. So if you're familiar with the that move, what's the move called? The tip over change, where you're here like this, they see the 5 of spades, they see the card, and you're like this. It's pretty much that move, just done in the spread. Alright, so this is what it looks like. It's the same concept, just done in the spread. Alright, so what you do is this. You spread the deck and have them take any card or touch a card, and as you go to upjog it like this, like you normally would, you do something secret, something sneaky. All right, so when they do, just pin that card against this bottom spread with your fingers here like this. As you go to upjog it, and then what you're gonna do is you want to align this whole thing, this card here that's above their selection, with this packet here. All right, so you upjog it like this, align that, and then just pin it down against the packet. So there's actually a secret card above their selection that they don't see, but it's when you move up that's what hides it. Okay, so once again, you're here, they touch a card, outjog it, and you want to align this selection with that card as well, so it's pretty much a straight line right here. All right, so what you're going to do is this: align that top card there with this packet like this. So really the selection, this card, and this packet, they're all aligned. Okay, so alignment is our thing here. So once again, you upjog it like this, align everything, but that alignment comes as you move up. All right, so you're here, align this card with the packet and pin that against that as you move up, so they don't see that card there, because that would be a flash. This is a complete exposed view. Boom, you're here, move up, show them the card like this. Now Larry Jennings points out that it's a good idea to put your finger on the card and just move your hand down. That way there's no weird movements, right? So you're here, and as you move down, that just gets flushed with the packet, and then you can do whatever you want at this point. Put the fake card there, square it up, whatever you want to do, and that is the open control. Okay, so the first control of this video was kind of self-working, and this one that I'm going to end with is completely self-working. Alright, so this principle that I'm about to teach you is known as the automatic placement principle, and there's a cool feature about this particular handling, which I think you'll really like. So let's get right into what this thing looks like. Alright, so the participant can take the deck and shuffle as much as they want to. That doesn't make a difference. And the cool thing about this method is that it doesn't get a full deck like some of those self-working procedures. This can have a few cards missing. It doesn't matter at all. So this one is really good. Alright, so anyway, you ask them to come up with a secret number, and what they do is they just take some cards, maybe about a dozen or so, it doesn't really matter, just a little bit of cards off of the top of the deck, and you ask them just to count their cards. Alright, so they do that, and normally this would be done in secret. You would turn away, plug your ears or whatever, and they would just secretly count their cards, and they would get a secret number that only they would know. But in this case, we'll do it because so we can see what this thing looks like. All right, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 is their number. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's their secret number. So now what we do is we take the deck and we're going to show them cards and count them. And when we get to their secret number, they remember the card at their number. Alright, so in a sense, they're just going to think of a card. So don't say stop when you see their card, and don't say it out loud. Just keep it in your mind only. Alright, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Have you got one yet? I feel like you have a card. Yes, perfect. All right, so now what we'll do is we'll just put these somewhere in the middle. That way nobody knows where your card is. And in fact, I'll turn away, and I want you to put your cards somewhere in the middle as well, just like this. All right, so think about this for a second. You shuffle the cards, and you just took some cards off the top of the deck, none of that I could have controlled. Now you're just thinking of a card that you write out with your secret number that you're just thinking of. There's no way anybody can know what your card is, especially where it is. But I'll try to find it. And in fact, I'll do something kind of special. Since we are doing a 50 controls series, what I will do is I will give this deck a little magical spell. Just like this, it is done, and we will spell the phrase 50 controls. Check this out. FIFTYCONTROLS. The last card that we got after spelling that. What was your card? The 3 of clubs? You're not going to believe this. The 3 of clubs. Alright, so the secret to this control is actually, you're going to hate me, it's a one-way forcing deck, alright? So all of these cards are actually the 3 of clubs. No, I'm just kidding. Don't turn away. They're all different, obviously. But yeah, this one is really cool because unlike other automatic placement principles, this one you can control it anywhere you want to. So normally it would be at a specific number that would be determined by the mathematical properties of the deck, normally at maybe 32 or something like that. But with this, you can control it anywhere you want to, so you can have there are so many possibilities with effects that you want to create with this method here. So what we do is this. All we do to control it where we want to is count one less of our desired number. So in this case, I wanted to spell 50 controls, which has 13 letters, so I just showed them 12 cards. Right? So it's just, you just show them less than the number you want the card to arrive at. All right, so we'll do an example. Let's say that we wanted their card to go at number 16. All right, so now when they take their cards, I'm going to show them 15 cards because I want their card to end up at number 16. All right, so we'll count these cards. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. All right, so they take 9 cards. You never know this. You don't need to know this. That's not important. All right, so only they know that. Number 9. All right, so now you just do this. You explain to them, look, I'm going to show you cards and count them, and when I get to your secret number, just remember that card that's on that number. And it's very important you say this to them as well. Say, but don't stop me and don't give me any indication about where it is or what it is. Just keep it in your mind only. All right, so that's very important for the trick to go smoothly and effectively. All right, so now you just start showing them cards, and we're going to stop at 15 because we want their card to be at 16 at the end. All right, so we do that. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and they'll remember this card here, the 10 of clubs. All right, so that's 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Have you got one yet? And notice how I did that. I didn't make a big deal about stopping. I said 14. Have you got one? I didn't even say the word 15. I just put it down. All right. So Roberta Giobbi talks about this a lot. When you're doing tricks like this, you want to ease into the breaks. You don't want to come to a full stop and slam on the brakes. You just want to gently come to a slow stop. All right, so if you did like an abrupt stop, there was maybe something weird is going on. All right, like you had to stop there, so you want to let them know, and subtly that is not the case. All right, so you have 15 cards on the table, so now you just pick these up how they are, and just throw them on top of the deck. And I like to throw in false cuts. All right, this is just a Bobby Menard false cut. So I'll put those in the middle somewhere. And I just like to keep it like that. That way, when they look back on it, they'll say, yeah, the deck is cut. And then when you square them up like this, and they're like, wait, he really cut those. And that's what Gabby Pereira calls the waiter's theory. All right, so anytime you're doing something like this, like a false cut, leave it like this for a moment, and when you come back to it, square it up. And they'll remember, yeah, he cut the deck. And now we're squaring those up. And what you're doing might seem more impossible because, hold on a second, there's no breaks being held. There's no steps, there's no crimps. He really cut the deck. I don't know where your card is, somewhere down in the deck. And in fact, do me a favor, throw yours on top as well. And they do that, and you can give it another false cut, do the waiter's theory thing, and push them forward and talk about blah, 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 blah. And then whatever you want to say. But all the time, you know that their card is controlled at number 16. All right, so we'll just check it out. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. It'll always be there, so whatever number you want, just go one less of that number and you'll get it every single time. And that is the 5 controls I have for you today. I really hope that you enjoyed them. Alright guys, so as always, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to watch this video. It means the world to me. And if you learned something new, if you got value out of this video, do me a huge favor and hit that like button to sub to the channel. Until next time, happy practicing. I love you guys.